LexisNexis is a company that was, I think, originally started in Dayton, or at least had a presence in Dayton. And what it does is it collects and catalogs magazines, journals, newspapers, legal documents, medical documents from as far back as the early 1900s, from if my understanding of the company is correct. So here we have Search the News. This covers 1980 to today. I thought they go further back than that on some of their databases, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. As you can see, this is a little more complicated of a setup. You can search the news, you can look up a legal case, you can get information on a company, you can combine multiple types of searches, you can research people, you can research countries, and that's just in the general searching section. There's also a news and U.S. legal and international legal and companies and subjects and sources, and of course helps and instructions, because we probably need some help and instruction. I'm just going to do a quick search for a legal case and see what I can find out about video games and violence, and see if anything pops up. May not find anything, but we might find something. All right. Well, here we go. Video game violence. It even highlighted it for us. And what is it telling us here? I'm not sure what exactly we're looking at first, because it just kind of dropped us into it. Telling me something about a Dr. Anderson remarking on the relative paucity or lack of video game literature, and concedes that violent video game literature is not sufficiently large to conduct a detailed meta-analysis of the specific methodological features of our studies, many of which were themselves flawed. For truly sensitive tests of potential age differences, susceptibility to violent... Okay, so they're talking violent video games effects, and they're talking about how there's not a lot of information regarding what effects those might have. Let's see. You see, abandon the age aspect of the study in part because there was a hint that the aggressive behavioral results might be slightly larger for the 18 and over group. I'm still confused, which hopefully you are too, unless you know a lot more about this than I do. Yeah, in the end, it says that he concludes the meta-analysis with the admission that there is a glaring empirical gap in video game violence research due to the lack of longitudinal studies. Okay, so looks like it's giving us some footnotes down here talking about some information, but I still don't know what this is. So let's take a look. This is Video Software Dealers Association, Entertainment Software Association versus Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, that's kind of funny. And I'm just trying to see what the case is about. Prior history overview. Okay, here we go. The Plaintiff Video Game Trade Association sought relief from an act which imposed restrictions and a labeling requirement on the sale of or rental of violent video games to minors. Okay, so the state of California had passed a law, this one here, stating that video game manufacturers had to include some type of labeling for games that were for sale or for rent that included violence when they were being sold to minors. And the trade association is arguing that that violated their First and 14th Amendment rights. And the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California granted summary judgment in favor of the association, and then California state officials appealed, and this was going to a United States Court of Appeal in the Ninth Circuit, which is based out of California. And I only know that because it tells me that here. So it's legalese, and it may be difficult to kind of dig through, but it's something to get you going, and we could at least start looking around and see if we could find additional information on this court case, maybe in a more popular publication like Time or Newsweek, something like that, that might break it down into a little more easier language. And for most research papers that you're doing, at least in freshman, sophomore, maybe junior levels, that sort of information is going to be okay. But looking at this, I never would have found out about this without doing some serious digging, and here we at least have some testimony talking about how there simply isn't enough research to determine whether violent video games are a real effect on violence. And that's something that would definitely tie into what I'm researching and a paper that I might write on it. So, there we go. That's one way to do a search in LexisNexis. You can also, again, do searches for the news. and lots of other stuff here. It is a little intimidating, but if you're looking for real hard research or real relevant legal documents or government information, LexisNexis is a great place to come and find that. So if you're doing research on smoking bans, you can see any challenges to, like, the Ohio was it a constitutional amendment, I believe, that outlawed smoking. Maybe it wasn't a constitutional amendment, but either way, those types of challenges might show up as you're doing legal searches here, and you may not have found out about those sort of things elsewhere. They're not always publicized in mainstream publications. And so that brings to a close our look at the research databases. I hope that helped and can kind of guide you through it. If you have more questions, you can always contact a reference librarian at the library or contact your instructor. Again, as you're doing your research, you should constantly be talking to your instructor about the information that you're finding and the type of sources that you're finding, and making sure that what you've got really fits with what you need to find for the assignment. I know in my classes I have specific types of sources that I want my students to find, and if they don't find them, that's going to seriously affect their grade. So make sure you check in on that type of information with your instructor. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the videos.